My name is Ethan, and for 8 years, my father and stepmother built a palace for my stepsister using the bricks of my stolen future. The lie was so complete, so seamless, I never even suspected it. But at my father's 60th birthday party, my grandfather raised a glass for a toast, his voice thick with emotion. "I know your mother would be so proud, Ethan," he said to me, "to see the man you've become, even without her inheritance to help you start." The crystal glass in my stepmother's hand trembled. A single drop of red wine splashed onto the white carpet like a drop of blood. My father's face went rigid. A tense silence fell over the party. "What inheritance?" I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. My grandfather's smile faltered as he looked from my face to my father's. "The trust," he said slowly. "The one your mother left for your business, for your future." That was the moment the illusion shattered. For 8 years, I had worked 2 jobs, lived in a cramped apartment, and put my own dreams on hold, believing my mother had left nothing behind but memories. I had mourned her, and I had mourned the future I thought we'd lost. Now I realized it had only been lost to me. It had been stolen. My mother passed away when I was 18, leaving a carefully planned trust to be managed by my father. It was meant to be my foundation, a gift to be given to me on my 25th birthday. A year after her death, my father remarried. My stepmother, Helen, and her daughter, Chloe, moved in, and my world was repainted in their colors. Chloe became the sun around which my father's world now orbited. Her art classes, her gap year in Europe, her designer wardrobe, all were funded with a generosity I had never known. I was the responsible son, the quiet one, the one who was so good at managing on his own. It was a compliment that was actually a cage, designed to keep me from asking for anything. While Chloe posted photos from art galleries in Florence, I was working overtime shifts at a logistics warehouse to make rent. While she was gifted a new car for her birthday, I was taking the late-night bus home, my body aching from physical labor. I never complained. I thought this was just my life, my struggle. I never knew they were living their dream on my mother's dying wish. The night of the party, after the guests had gone, my grandfather and I sat in his study. The air was thick with unspoken grief and a new, cold anger. "He was the trustee," my grandfather whispered, his voice shaking. "He violated her final wish for his new family." I felt nothing but a strange, hollow calm. The pain was so deep it had turned to steel inside me. "We're going to fix this," he said. The next day, we went to the family lawyer's office. The truth was laid bare in a series of documents and bank statements. The trust had been activated on my 25th birthday, as instructed. But the funds were never transferred to me. Instead, my father had opened a new joint account with Helen, and the money had flowed directly into it. The paper trail was a roadmap of their betrayal, a down payment on a luxury condo for Chloe in the city center, transfers to high-end fashion boutiques, airline tickets, and receipts from 5-star hotels across Europe. They had used my mother's love for me as their personal travel fund. My inheritance wasn't just stolen, it had been gleefully squandered. My grandfather, a man of quiet dignity, moved with the fury of a silent storm. He didn't yell. He acted, he engaged a forensic accountant and a litigation attorney. He told me to stay quiet. "Let them think they're safe," he said. "The guilty always grow careless when they believe they are immune to consequences." For the next month, I lived a double life. By day, I was the quiet son, working my shifts, nodding along during my father's brief, dismissive phone calls. By night, I was an architect of their downfall, poring over documents with my grandfather, building a case so airtight it was a tomb. The confrontation came not in a courtroom, but over dinner. My grandfather invited them to a quiet, expensive restaurant, the kind they loved. They arrived, Chloe draped in a new coat, Helen showing off a new diamond bracelet. They thought it was a reconciliation dinner. It was an ambush. After the appetizers were cleared, my grandfather slid a thick folder across the table. "I believe this belongs to Ethan," he said. My father opened it. His face went from confusion to denial to pale, sweaty fear. Inside was every bank statement, every transfer, every receipt. A perfect, undeniable history of their crime. Helen was the first to speak. "This is a misunderstanding," she said, her voice strained. "It was all one family pot. We were just managing it for him." Chloe scoffed. He wouldn't have known what to do with it anyway. He probably would have just wasted it. The casual cruelty of her words, the absolute certainty of her entitlement was breathtaking. "My mother left that money for me," I said, my voice low and even. "She wanted me to build a life, and you used it to buy trinkets." My father finally looked at me, his eyes pleading. "Ethan, we can sort this out, privately." My grandfather answered for me. "The time for privacy is over, Richard. You committed fraud. You betrayed your late wife. You stole from your own son. We didn't ask for the money back. We demanded it. The attorney had drafted a settlement. They were to liquidate Chloe's condo, sell the jewelry, and repay every single cent to a new trust, one that I, and only I, controlled. If they refused, we would proceed with a criminal investigation. The choice was theirs: public shame and potential jail time, or financial ruin and private disgrace. They chose ruin. Chloe's condo went on the market the next week. Helen's new diamonds disappeared. The lavish lifestyle they had built on my mother's memory was dismantled, piece by painful piece. They became quiet, withdrawn. The vibrant social media posts ceased. Their world had shrunk to the size of their own guilt. The money was transferred into my account 3 months later. I looked at the number on the screen, a sum that could have changed my life 8 years ago. But seeing it now, I didn't feel joy. I felt the immense weight of lost time. It was the ghost of a life I should have had. I quit my jobs. I took a month and did nothing but walk, think, and breathe air that wasn't heavy with the dust of a warehouse. I began to grieve for my mother all over again. But this time, I also grieved for myself, for the young man who was made to believe he wasn't worthy of his own mother's love. My father tried to call. My stepmother sent tearful texts. Chloe blocked me, then unblocked me to send a single message filled with rage and blame. I ignored them all. They were no longer a part of my story. They were the prologue, a chapter I was now determined to close. The first thing I did with the money was start a business. Not a flashy startup, but a small woodworking shop, a passion I had inherited from my mother. She had loved the smell of sawdust and the feel of creating something real and tangible with her own hands. I named the shop after her. It was slow work, hard work. But every table I built, every chair I sanded, felt like an act of defiance. It was a tribute to her legacy, built with the funds they had tried to steal. I was finally using her gift as she had intended, to create, not to consume. My grandfather was my first customer. He ordered a simple, elegant bookshelf for his study. When I delivered it, he ran a hand over the smooth wood, his eyes shining with tears. "She would be so proud, Ethan," he said. "Not of the money, but of this. Of you." That was worth more than any inheritance. The business grew. I hired 2 employees, then 5. My work was featured in a local design magazine. I was building a life. My life on my own terms. The pain of the betrayal never disappeared completely, but it became a part of my foundation, a reminder of the strength I didn't know I had. One day I got a letter from Chloe. She was working as a waitress, she wrote. She hated it. She said she was sorry, not for the theft, but for how things had turned out. It was not an apology, it was a complaint. I threw the letter away without responding. My father and Helen now live in a small rental apartment. Their social circle has dwindled. The shiny facade they had built has crumbled, revealing the empty space behind it. Their punishment is not poverty, but irrelevance. They are forced to live with the quiet, nagging truth of what they did. My mother's legacy is not one of wealth, but of resilience. A resilience she passed on to me. They thought they could erase her, and by extension, me. But they were wrong. Her love was a seed, and even after they tried to bury it, it found a way to grow in the dark and reach for the light. My revenge was not a fiery explosion. It was the slow, steady process of building a life they couldn't touch. A life of purpose, meaning, and quiet dignity. A life my mother would have recognized. A life that is finally and completely my own. Have you ever had a dream that someone close to you tried to take away? A story of when you had to fight for the future that was rightfully yours? Share your experience in the comments. Your story deserves to be heard. And if you believe that the best revenge is building a life they can only watch from a distance, subscribe to Revenge with Any.